Thank you, Dwayne.
That's my wife, old car.
Welcome to the October 2nd board meeting. I appreciate each one being here today. If you would take just a couple of seconds and turn your telephone on silent, if you would please, I'd appreciate it, or we would. And as always, we'll start off with a word of prayer by Dwayne, led by with the pledge. And so, if you will, let's all stand and for the invocation.
Y'all pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, as we bow before you this morning, God, I first of all want to thank you for this day that you gave us, God. Thank you for waking us up this morning. God, thank you for blessing our lives and watching over us like you do, even though many, many times we take it for granted. God, I ask that you be with us in this meeting this morning, God, that business be conducted to be pleasing to you and in accordance with your will. Just forgive us when we fail you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Will?
Yes, sir. Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge
allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Lott?
Yes, Mr.
You
President, you
first
should have
on the
before
list.
you the September the 18th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes, the board to please approve said minutes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Jones, do I have a second? Second Supervisor Baxter. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Next is concerned citizens, but I think, like to go to Mr. John Wallace.
All right.
I'd like to bring you up a little earlier. I know that yours going to be kind of short and to the point, I believe.
2 minutes.
2 minutes,
It says
that's right.
here, limited 2
That's
minutes.
exactly right. Thank you.
We're going to try to adhere to that.
Okay.
Well, a couple of months ago, maybe 3, you asked me to head up an effort to determine the highest and best use of our historic Madison County Courthouse.
Yes, sir.
Now, everybody we've talked to admits that this courthouse is a crown jewel of the historic courthouses in Mississippi. And just a side note there, some 80 years ago, if most of you can remember that far back, elementary school, there was a course called Mississippi History. I don't know whether they still teach that anymore. But that Mississippi history book had an example of a courthouse in Mississippi. And guess whose courthouse that was? The one right here. And so it's been well known throughout the state, I think, for a good while. And although everybody admits it being what it is, also they admit, if you will, that it's a beautiful building, but it's not in its best interest to view it instead of using it. So that's the idea, I think, about this whole project, is how we're going to use the courthouse in the future. And I'm going to give a brief update of where we stand as far as what we've done so far.
Please do.
First, I want to thank Mr. Greg Higginbotham. He's a valuable asset to Madison County and has been to us in moving this project along.
John, do you mind moving the microphone down a little?
Okay.
Perfect.
Right. The first thing we did was contacted the directing staff of Archives and History. What we wanted to do is get their advice based on their knowledge of how other courthouses were being used around the state. And they have access, of course, to all that information. They help people with that type of thing. And they were very frank, which we appreciated. They were frank in discussing the pros and cons, especially of a standalone courthouse museum. Some work well, some fail. So, taking their advice into consideration, our next step was to assemble 4 or 5 what we consider to be experts in the field of preservation, culture, and history of Madison County. And each of these individuals were deeply interested in this project. Almost everybody you talk to is interested in the Madison County Courthouse. So here are the people that we have asked and who have volunteered to help us decide what might be the best way and the best thing to do as far as using the courthouse. We have Mr. Stuart Rockoff, serves as an executive director of the Mississippi Humanities Council, where he works to develop and support public programs that explore our state's unique history and culture. He was also a member of the Scholarly Review Board of the Museum of Mississippi History and the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum. Russell Archer, who worked for the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, particularly in historic preservation. He also resided in Canton and Madison County during his time that he worked for the Department of Archives and is very familiar with what we are attempting to do. Ken Papool is a former director of the Mississippi Department, executive director of the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. And while he's retired, he still helps to oversee historic preservation in Mississippi. We have Phyllis Doby, who's a longtime resident of Madison County, over 50 years actually. Ms. Doby has been involved extensively in historic preservation, creating and serving Madison County, as well as serving on the Mississippi Heritage Trust Board. Dr. Andrew Hines, who currently serves as Associate Professor at Jackson State University in Public Policy Administration and a PhD Executive Leadership Program. Dr. Hines was featured on CBS in 2011 as someone you should know. In addition, Mr. Elliot Hilliard, most of you remember, is a former director of Archives and History, and he now lives and has lived in Madison County. I believe was a school teacher at Madison Richland School way back before he got involved in the state. Even though he's retired, he's offered to assist in any way that he can. So after getting the recommendations of this group of experts, we will ask interested individuals of Madison County to get involved in carrying out these recommendations by serving on a steering committee for the project. Whatever that project turns to be, they would be the ones who would be involved, volunteers, people who are interested, people who have some wherewithal, if you will, to help the project. So those are the steps that that we're taking, that we're taking or have taken, and we are waiting to get this group together. And maybe the next time we make a report, it'll be on this is what has been recommended as far as how to use, what to do, as far as our historic courthouse. So I thank you for this opportunity to serve Madison County and to serve the Board of Supervisors. And I would be interested in any questions if you have any.
But John Wallace, we appreciate you taking this challenge on, because the board did ask you to take this on, and it sounds as if you're moving forward with these individuals that has a lot of experts in many different areas, but
Right.
especially in this area as well. And so
And interested.
has an interest in it, and
Right.
And we definitely know that you do, by all means. So we look forward to see what the next steps and it's going to be, and what information y'all bring back as well to this board, because this board sees the courthouse exactly what you just said. It's
Right.
of most interest in Madison County.
Yep.
It's very important, and we wanted to use it as the best fit for
Right.
Madison County.
Exactly.
And in the past, we have put a lot of money in upkeeping that courthouse, and we got it looking good now, but we're going to have to continue to put some money in it to see what the best use is. for it.
Yep.
I would like to have a motion to acknowledge these people for the steering committee
Sure.
as well, just for the minutes. So I'd make a motion to acknowledge. Do I have a second?
I guess second it.
Second, Mr. Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. John
Okay.
Wallace.
All right.
And before we get back up to the concerned citizens right quick, we'll go to the consent items, and then we'll come back to the concerned citizens. Any item on the consent item that the board would like to have removed for further discussion? If not, do I have a motion for approval? Motion Supervisor Jones, do I have a second? Second Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Now we go back up to concerned citizens. Greg?
All right, first on the list is Matthew Scott.
Mr. Scott? If you would, each one that's planning on speaking, please come up and just give your name and address and 2 minutes, please.
Okay. My name is Matthew Scott. Address is 982B, Cedar Hill Road in Madison. And this is my second trip here, and I'm going to pass off something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Scott. All right.
Okay. I've done a letter to address the concern about something that's being built on Cedar Hill Road that does not seem like it's being built according to Article X of the Residential Estate District. In this section, Caption A and B clearly states what should be done with the property. Caption A states a single-family dwelling per lot is permissible. Caption B states accessory structures and uses associated with the use of land. Keep in mind the word accessory. That's a thing that can be added to something to make it more useful. In other words, building a structure with no residence and most of the equipment in it is used for projects elsewhere does not conform to Article X. Therefore, I'm asking that the Board of Supervisors correct this mistake to protect the values of the adjoining 4,000 to 5,000 heated square foot homes that are next door to this property. As a builder, I have made it a point to build quality homes that will improve the areas that I build in. I built homes in Providence Subdivision, Lake Caroline, Ashbrook, Providence, Windance, and the town of Flora, town of Canton, and several homes on Cedar Hill Road. Through my efforts, the County of Madison collects a nice sum of taxes from all these homes. All I'm asking is that since I've been a contributing citizen of this county for such a long time, that the county in turn do all it can to protect my property and my neighbor's property.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott, and I think you were up here not long ago.
2 weeks ago.
As you indicated. And just any update, whose district is this?
This is my district, and we asked Scott to take a look at this.
Okay.
Coming up, Scott. This gentleman went out and built like a construction building for housing his equipment. He doesn't have a residence there. And Mr. Scott is right. That's not permitted. Scott, can you tell us something about this?
Just to give you an update on this, I have sent a notice to the owner of that property. That will be scheduled for 10/16. The first time I sent a letter the deed has actually changed, so I sent it to someone who didn't even own it anymore, but that's part of these deeds sometimes. So the builder, or the owner, is Chris Kelly. Notice has been sent. And also, Article X states land uses permitted outright are accessory buildings in the R1 district.
Now, an accessory building is a building built when a person has residence.
Well, it states that it's an outright use in that district. Now, some of the zoning districts say they are accessory to the residential structure. It's not in that in the R1.
But you say that the owner's going to be up here on the next board meeting?
Yes,
The
the 16th.
On the 16th.
Yes.
Got a hand back there.
Any more questions?
Toby?
Yes, sir. What address is that at, or what article is that? On Cedar Hill?
The building that's being built now.
Guys, if y'all will, come talk to the, in the mic,
It's 982E Cedar Hill Road.
982.
That's right close to the intersection of Lake Mansdale and Cedar Hill. Is it east or west? It would be, have to probably be east of Lake Mansdale, towards 463?
It's right across the street from Lake Mansdale,
Okay.
right across.
And to the west is the barn dominium and the horse farm and all that. Is that it?
Right.
Guys, if y'all will, y'all talk to the board if y'all want to speak. Come on up and speak to the board, if you will.
No problem, Mr. President.
Ms. Banks?
Well, Scott, what you're saying that in that district is that you could go out and build a construction.
As in the A1 and R1 districts, yes, there is a land use permitted outright
Without a residence.
without a residence.
We've got a problem.
No, I'd be glad to change it.
It should be.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this is a residential properties, and everybody out there, expect that we would have residents, and so that a building like that, if it was built, and it, for the use of, equipment for maintaining this land or whatever, if he took it somewhere else and maintained some more land somewhere else, that's fine. But it's not, for what I saw, the pictures that Mr. Scott brought in showed me a construction company.
Well, that's exactly why we're going to address it on the 16th.
Okay.
Yes.
All right then. Well, we'll address it on the 16th.
Okay.
We'll see you on the 16th.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. Next,
Next will be Alan Phillips.
Mr. Phillips?
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
My name is Alan Phillips, and I'm former Madison County prosecutor. I live on Stokes Road in Supervisor Banks District. Large group of people here that are concerned about some of the things that are happening at the end of Stokes Road in Livingston Vernon. On behalf of the Phillips family that is out there and has been out there a long time, we're here simply because we need to know more information about what's going on. I know the board probably is gathering that information, and it's a process. We respect that process. We respect the board. But in that, we want to know we want to see some transparency. What's going on with the historic overlay efforts? Where does the board sit? Where does planning and zoning feel? I know that those things are coming, but that's the only reason we're here, is to let you know that we are interested and we are participating and that we are watching the process unfold. It is nothing against any of the people that are involved, for or against. It's just simply to know what's going on and to protect our own interests as well as anyone else's. Our concern is that the community out there at Livingston and Stokes Road and Anderson Station, that they remain united, and that going forward, we present a certain level of development that will be beneficial to the entire area, that will provide safety and security for all of those. We have concerns about the intersection at Livingston, Vernon, and Stokes Road and Highway 22. It's a problem. There's a lot of traffic coming through there. And then when you lay on top of that all this new development, these new zoning requests, it just creates a lot of stir. So that's my 2 cents. I'm sure there's others that might have their opinions as well, but we're here to let you know where we are in the process. So thank you for your time.
Okay, just to kind of respond to a little of that. First time that this board has heard about it was 2 weeks ago when Ms. John Scanley, which was attorney, come up and spoke about it. And that's all that this board has heard about it. So we're waiting as well.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to know we're getting in on it very early. Our concern was that we had somehow gotten behind on the information flow, but it's nice to know that we're right in there with everybody else and that we can make progress moving forward, something that everybody can try to live with. So, thank you.
So you said, are you for overlay district or are you against the overlay district?
Overlay district, in my opinion, is too much. Am I in favor of putting anything in there willy-nilly? No. We want some kind of reasonable, something like Livingston that fits the area, that fits the community within certain controls, that everyone can be in favor of. It's a place where everybody would want to go, whether that's a Livingston-type development with a gas station or whatever comes down the line. As I understand it, Mr. Hopper has submitted no plans to the board in terms of what he would like to do or not do.
Right.
So we're just trying to get to what the real facts are. There's so much rumor and speculation and conjecture and emotion right now that everyone's still trying to get to the bottom of it in that area. And it stirred a lot of people up, and rightfully so, just because we all love our community. I've been out there 11 years and have enjoyed every minute of it. Don't plan to leave. As a major landowner, I don't want to see anything out there. I don't plan to build a pig farm or a garbage dump or anything else. I'm going to build something that everybody's going to love and want and increase everybody's residential real estate values. Right. So we're all in agreement on the broad idea, but how to get there is what we're working through, and that's why we're here. So a historic overlay district in general is not the problem. It's the specific details. As I understand it, historic overlay districts cut the Mississippi Department of Transportation out of the picture. I'm not sure that's the best idea. That's something that can be discussed going forward, but the participation of MDOT and Commissioner Brad White is vital. I know he's friends with Supervisor Baxter, so we talk all the time. Highway 22 is important, and our interest is the same as the communities, and that's to build something good out there, and it's headed in a great direction, and we all want that to continue.
We're on the same page. I think
We're all
before.
on the same page. We're all on the same page.
Before any overlay, it has to be good for many different reasons. The people is one, the landowners another one, Madison County, the Board of Supervisors, as you mentioned, MDOT, and I'm sure that there's others that has to come together to make this happen.
Right, and I'm still learning about this whole process as well. But I look forward to working with the historic overlay people, with
Right.
with Ms. Deddens. We're longtime friends.
We understand where you're
Thank
coming
you.
from.
I got a question for Scott. Tell us exactly where we are with, I think we were talking about two different things. Paul asked him, is he
Thank you.
for the overlay
Thank
or
you.
against? But then we started talking about a specific piece of property. Where are we as far as developing the overlay district, or where are they, do you know?
Myself and Mr. Clark met with Mike Prestige and a couple of ladies last week, I think. Gave them a good bit of the paperwork. Some of that paperwork has to be reworded because it has to do with rezoning. This is a text amendment. So Mr. Clark is rewriting that stuff to make sure it's proper. As soon as we get that to them, then they will provide notice, show us the boundaries. It's kind of just like a rezoning in that aspect, but
That's the beginning of the start of the process.
That's the start of the
How
process.
long does it take usually to form an overlay district? And does anybody else have to be involved outside the Board of Supervisors as far as a government body? I mean, do we have to go to the Attorney General's office, or we just do it here, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right.
The time before, it was all done within the Board of Supervisors confines, and I think we have to have public hearings,
Yes.
and all the landowners should be participating in those public hearings.
Yes, they will be required by law to notify, well, by our ordinance, to notify all the people within their boundaries, 160 feet from the boundaries of that overlay district.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Any other questions for Scott?
Well, I don't have, as far as the zoning issue, you said the rezoning, I think, request that was before you. That rezoning, right at this point, is being held up for several reasons. But the main reason, there's no plan. It's just a rezoning. But without a plan where the neighbors, the supervisors, and all can see, it's going to stay held up. So that's for those that may be interested. Now, in the overlay district, it's going to be publicly done, and all the landowners, large and small, should be at the public hearing and voice their opinions. So that's all that I can do as a supervisor, is make sure that happens.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Banks. Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Next person on the consent.
All right, I have another last name of Phillips. First name looks like it may be Cindy.
There you go.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Cindy Phillips. I live on Sundial Road. I'm in Ms. Jones' district. And I saw the list outside, and I thought it was just a list of who was attending. So I'm here. But, however, I am a landowner out on 22 in Stokes Road, and our son Alan has spoken, I thought, quite well and represented our family rather well. So we appreciate your listening to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next, Greg.
All right, Mark Morgan.
Mr. Borkin.
I'm a member of Damascus Baptist Church.
Please state your name and address, please.
Name is Mark Morgan. Address is 347 Red Eagle Circle, Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm in District 3. My two children are District 1. The rest of my family's in District 4. So I just want to say, guys, that the members at Damascus Baptist have voted for me to come and be a little bit of a spokesman for them. We're in that sleepy little curve on Highway 22, and suddenly we had two residents living next door to us, and suddenly those residents have turned into big commercial property, evidently, and so there are some concerns out there. My church, most everyone is in District 4, and I'm the exception, but I will tell you that their concern is that just some kind of oversight as to the development in the area, okay? And what we have done is we've kind of joined the effort officially to try to establish this overlay committee, if that is what indeed is necessary, you understand? Right. And that we had a meeting yesterday at our church, which was at least 100 attendees, if not more, probably more. But, you know, we contributed to a list now of petition signers that say, you know, we want an overlay district in that area, and those signatures are up to 300 people. And so they're not duplicated to my knowledge, and it's a good solid list. And so our church was responsible probably for a third of that. So We have gotten out and talked to other people, to our relatives that live in the area, and our friends that live in the area. They're friends of the church, and they're all signing and they're on board, and they're very, very concerned because they want Highway 22 to be a scenic trip that it's always been. And we just don't want any eye spots out there that kind of mess that up. So listen, all this is that we know that area is just teeming for development. It's happening. It's going to happen. And we're concerned about two things real quick, guys, is the long range. When all that agricultural starts to get transformed into commercial, we just want some kind of insight and some kind of input into what may be developed out there. Of course, we want it developed because we live out there and we'd love to have services out there. But keep in mind that we're not opposed to development. But I can tell you this right now, the consensus at that meeting yesterday was no dollar stores next door. They do not want that for that area. And another thing too is that we are very concerned about the traffic in those curbs out there. Even us pulling in and out of the church are getting more and more dangerous. And we have been told back when we built our activity center 9 years ago that we were told by MDOT that it would not be a good idea to have a daycare out there because there's too much traffic on that particular part of the road, and it's only gotten that much worse. So some kind of traffic study, guys, is absolutely necessary out there in that area. We've had a lot of reasons for traffic to be stalled out there recently, and so we just want to make you aware of that and just let you know that the church is involved and the membership is unanimous in that they want an input into what gets developed next door. Okay, that's all. And I just wanted to let you know that, and thank y'all very much for your efforts, and Mr. Banks working with some of the people already that are interested in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
Mr. Morgan, I agree with you. Traffic and, having the church sitting there is very important to me, that what goes there is conducive to the church.
Yes, sir.
So your input is always going to be necessary.
Yes,
now,
sir.
The overlay district that I heard about sounds to me like an overlay district that should be there.
Yes, sir.
Now, the landowners have concerns, the large landowners have concerns about the overlay district because, quite naturally, they may at some point, or their offsprings may at some point want to develop their land.
That's correct.
So, but the people I've talked to that were supporting, trying to develop the overlay district are just like you. They're not against development. They just want to have input.
That's it.
And I agree with that. So we're going to do what we can to make sure that we can have you and your neighbors, all of them, the large landowners and the small landowners, working together to make sure what goes out there is something that everybody can agree with.
And that it's safe.
Yeah. Well, the next step is I want to get with MDOT.
Yes, sir.
Because, we're talking about a traffic study.
Yes, sir.
We can study our intersection and our roads.
Right.
Gonna bring that up to the board. But we need to have MDOT involved because I believe a massive change needs to happen, and it's got to happen with 22 as well as how Livingston Vernon comes in and Stokes comes in. So all of that needs to be looked at. That intersection is, you can't fix it without also bringing in 22.
Yes, sir.
So we want to look at all of it. And
Mr. Banks, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
We appreciate you.
Supervisor Jones,
Thank
you have
you.
a statement?
I just
Any other
wanted to say
questions?
that I appreciate that y'all come here because we don't hear these issues unless you bring them to us. I mean, that's how we get information people bring us information, so it's important that you're active, that you have someone here most of the time to hear what's going on, because unless you tell us there's a problem, sometimes we can't figure it out for ourselves, because I live in Madison. I don't know what's going on out there, you know what I mean? So we need your help.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. We have quite a few representatives from that
I
meeting
see.
yesterday, and we're pretty lined up here, guys. But we just want to let you know, hey, we are out here and we are actually trying to organize. And if an overlay committee has details that would help Mr. Phillips, we would love to consider those. You see what I mean? In other words, we're not trying to be like, we don't want you to build anything out here, you know? We're not doing that at all. All we want to do is just kind of be a part of that, because just the very thought of something coming out there that would break the aesthetics of that beautiful drive, guys, down between Canton and Flora, would, you know, that's the Sunday drive for a lot of folks, you know what I mean? And so I'm just kind of letting y'all know that we as a church in the middle of all this have decided that maybe not necessarily pick sides, but just try to be a part of the progress that we hope comes to the area.
Ms. Morgan, we appreciate you coming. As Supervisor Jones said, there's so much false information that gets out there.
Yes, sir.
Whether it's on Facebook or these blogs, because people say things just because that's what they want you to believe.
Yes, sir.
And so if you come to the board meeting like you're doing today,
Yes, sir.
then you can ask questions or you can hear things.
Right.
And it's coming straight from us, not from someone else that wants another agenda.
Yes, sir.
You know, so
Exactly.
we appreciate y'all getting together and coming together as one.
Yeah.
And saying, we're not opposed to development,
Right.
but we want it to be in a way that is beneficial to everyone.
And it's just appropriate to the area.
That's right.
That's all. Yeah.
You're
Thank-
right.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
You bet. Greg?
All right, Gary Massey.
Mr. Massey?
Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name's Gary Massey. I live at 139 Horseshoe Lane, down Livingston Vernon Road. Everybody knows me as Grumpy. And I come up here empty-handed, but I'm a concerned citizen like everybody else here about what's developing at the end of Livingston Vernon Road. Just like all the supervisors, I'm interested in making Madison County the best place to live in Mississippi, which we have done over and over again. Like Sheriff Tucker, he wants it to be the safest community, and we want the same thing. I have some experience with dollar stores, and I have a lot of experience with retail. So I know the effect of retail can have on an environment and a group of people around it. But it's not just the immediate people. It's not the people next door. It's Damascus Baptist Church. It's very important. People that own houses just a half mile down the road. But 5 miles down the road, there's a whole community of folks. Okay? And they have a little store there, and they have a convenience store there that they depend on, on a daily basis. If this development goes through as rumored, it's going to affect that community down there. It could possibly force Harry out of business because he may not be able to compete with a large retailer that has multiple stores, which will affect the people in Kearney Park, which means they'll have to go 5 miles down to the corner if that develops there next to Damascus Baptist Church, or they'll have to go another 5 miles over to Sullivan's over there. They don't have the convenience that they deserve. And that's the reason I'm here, is because I want our community to stay basically as trouble-free as possible and as convenient as possible for all the residents. So I appreciate Supervisor Banks and what he's done for our area out there, and I appreciate all the work that y'all have done for the county. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Greg?
I believe this name is Robert Abbott, maybe? I nailed it, all right.
Mr. Abbott?
Thank you. My name is Robert Abbott, live at 2315 Memorial Circle. Memorial Circle is right on Livingston Vernon Road. I'm also a member of Damascus Baptist Church, so I travel that way a good bit. That intersection right there in that curve is terrible. And I think that, like Mark said, a study needs to be done and really looked at because it's an accident waiting to happen. The first gentleman that spoke talked about the courthouse and heritage and preservation. Our church, where it sits, that road, that area, development is not a problem as far as it being consistent with the community, but we like it the way it is. I mean, it's a good community, it's a safe community, and the fact that you hear the rumors of a dollar store going up next to a church, and what happens with the crime and the trash and everything else that goes along with that is a concern for us. So I appreciate it, y'all looking into it, and that's it. Thank
you,
y'all.
sir.
Thank you.
I got one more question for Scott. This is the first I've heard of a dollar store. What?
That's the first time I've heard of it.
Let me enlighten the board. The person who was trying to get the rezoning done, he didn't really have a plan of any kind that we can determine, but he did throw out that he had an offer from Family Dollar, but he hadn't brought anything definitive to even show that. But that's how the rumor spread it around about Family Dollar going out there. As I stated before, I don't plan on approving a rezoning and don't have any plans or anything that the community can see and look at and have input on. So that's not gonna happen. Okay.
We're really picky about what we put out there.
Okay. All right, Greg, next.
All right, Toby Trowbridge.
Sheriff?
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, as the old saying goes, you might as well run me on by the house. I think it's been said here by everybody. First, we weren't sure if it was today or when it would be, so we know it's the 16th, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yes, 16th. Bring you up to date. I think Mr. Banks had asked for Paul Hopper to get in touch with some of us out here, in which he got in touch with me. He was up here and he was thinking an office space. He brought his wife up here, out there to look at the little yellow house, and she said that wouldn't work. Right. And he wanted to tear it down, so he did, and put an office there, his office there. So Paul called me, and I just told him, I said, Paul, no, that's not right. We're going to get along a lot better if you'll go on and tell me the truth, and let's get over past, this transparency, as everybody uses the word. I call it different things, but good, nice people call it transparency. So anyway, we talked on a little bit, and he said, well, I do have a man that wants to give me a contract on the dollar store. And for the life of me, I can't remember if it's Family Dollar or Dollar General or one of them. I believe it's Family Dollar, but he did tell me that. And I asked him why he didn't come forward with it at the board, and I never got an answer at. But I can speak to that because he did tell me that now he does have a man that wants to give him a contract. I tried to look at both sides of the picture on everything, including the overlay and everybody in the church. To me, a dollar store won't swim. There's been too many of them shut down. There's too many armed robberies. There was a lady killed in, I believe, Greenville in an armed robbery of a dollar store a few weeks ago. While we were talking, there was one in Meridian, that armed robbery. There was a killing in there. I am not Sure, so I really shouldn't speak to this, and I'd like for somebody that loves the computer and can Google it and go through all this, because I don't do it. I didn't even want computers in cars, but a couple of my captains and chiefs wanted computers, so we got them. And cameras, oh my gosh, what in the world? The best I can understand is Family Dollar stores do not even own the building or the dirt. They lease from somebody else. So I don't know if Paul is going to be the builder and the leaseor, or he's got another party, or whatever. My concern is, on financial news the other day, they were talking about the dollar stores. This came from them, that they were pulling their horns back, so to speak, because of high inflation, and the people they served were not even able to keep up with the inflation anymore, and they were not able to sell their wares like they used to. So they were doing some other things. My current concern is a year or two now, because this thing is not over by far,
Right.
this country, is what if they leave out in a year or two? Then what are we going to do? Or what are y'all going to do? There's just a lot of questions. The overlays, things, first thing we came up with, yes, it's got to be looked at. Certainly everybody wants to agree with it, and I can tell you, everybody out there is agreeable. We just everybody needs to look at what overlay is and see where the best part for us. The thing I was up here for, and y'all were gracious enough to give me the slowdown just to see where we were and everything, and I appreciate that, Mr. Banks. I talked to Paul. I've told you what he said. The other thing is, Charles Bowen died 6-8 months ago, I think, or whatever. In that curve, and I went to church at Damascus for years till we moved originally. In that curve, while he was directing traffic, his car was hit. You can't come from 463 to Anderson Flats that they're not running 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, including the log trucks. When they come around out of Anderson Flats coming east towards Canton, they're in your lane when that log truck comes around the corner. I'm just asking you, and I don't know if y'all can do it or we would have to do it or whatever, along this process somewhere, a traffic study or safety study of some sort there at 22 and Livingston Vernon, because it is a dangerous intersection. I remember one time when I was sheriff, lady missed the curve and went airborne and hit the tree right there in front of where the yellow house was. It just doesn't curve well.
Well, Sheriff, in an effort to be transparent, I'd like to say I'm 100% opposed to a dollar store being at that location.
Well, I have to leave that to the majority of the board, and I appreciate it. Thank y'all for being involved in it. I think I probably stand for most of the folks in here. A dollar store is just not where we need to go. Understanding that by law, y'all can't tell a man he can't sell his land to somebody. Only thing y'all can do is go by the law as to what he can and can't do, with stuff. And if it may be, and I would appreciate y'all telling us just, hey, first we got the rezoning to get through on that 9/10 of an acre. Then if we need to go to planning and zoning, just let us know where we can be on top. Because I can assure y'all, I don't have the bulldog bite in me anymore. But these people back here, they're not going to give up. So you might as well figure something out for us.
I think, as far as safety concerned, MDOT is, that's their number one priority is safety.
Yeah.
And they're not even going to take a chance at all on any safety issues
Well,
with any building. I can just tell you that now. So that's a plus, in the church's favor, by all means. And also Madison counties, as well. And the rezoning, Scott, is that moving forward or on the rezoning, on the little small piece of?
It'll be on the next meeting's agenda.
Of the planning and zoning or here?
Coming back here.
Okay, it's coming back here then. Okay.
You get a chance to vote against it. on
Yeah, I thought
16th.
he was dead myself.
Well, in closing, and I wish Mr. John Anderson was here, because I don't like to speak about folks when they're not here. But anybody knows John Anderson, he owns everything in there, every black cow you see towards Flora, every black cow you see up Livingston Vernon and everything. He and I go to lunch twice a week at least. I mean, we've been close friends. Everything you see bought down Cedar Hill for a piece, everything you see bought up Livingston Vernon, Mr. John Anderson was born in that old 100 and something plus two-story house there. That is why it's called Anderson, and it's called Ansonia Farms there. Love him to death. John's 88 years old. If nothing but for John Anderson, please do a safety study and a highway study out there. If I see Mr. John Anderson pull out on Highway 22, if we have one more car speeding through there, Mr. John's going to have a wreck out there.
All right,
So for
Sheriff,
him, please do something.
I think we got you. I think we understand where you're coming from.
Thank you.
And the church as well.
Thank you.
But I think it has a long way to go before anything like that's going to be built there.
Thank you.
think
I
it has a
appreciate
long way
y'all's,
to go.
the opportunity you gave me to present it to the board, and I want to let you know that Madison County is still the best place to live in the United States of America.
No doubt.
Right.
Thank
And
you
I
for
got to
that
tell
statement.
Sheriff Turker, he still has the best sheriff's department in the world, too.
No doubt.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Greg?
All right, I think that concludes the overlay discussion. Next up is Beth Ladner.
May I give some information?
Hold on one second. Where's Beth?
The commercial.
Come on up, Beth, if you like. You're on the agenda first. So come on up and speak, and then we'll get to you.
Good morning. My name is Beth Ladner. I live at 611 South Deerfield Drive in Canton, and I'm here to ask the board this morning to rescind your vote on the Woodgate subdivision. Many of us have presented overwhelming evidence over the past few months regarding D.R. Horton's construction practices or failure thereof. These lawsuits haven't just begun recently. We have evidence of decades of lawsuits, and I don't know if you've taken the opportunity to go do research on the internet or look at lawsuits from people on YouTube. They've got these videos of individuals, but you can certainly look at those. In 2003, 240 Colorado residents filed a lawsuit because of cracked foundations, roof issues, drainage issues, which resulted in mold. I think you would agree that's no great surprise. Settled for $39.5 million in 2005. In 2007, Aurora, Colorado, 1,200 homes, water going into basements, high water table. These homes were built. $13.5 million was the settlement there, on and on and on. In a recent September board meeting, Mr. Teen said that he believed that D.R. Horton was a good builder. After the things that I've read and seen on YouTube from homeowners, I don't know about you, but I beg to differ. I also believe that I heard in a meeting that there would be no rental homes. I remind you that in the Northside Sun article, Nick Gillette said that they were going to be required to build a number of rental units because some were Section 8 housing. I think the majority of Madison Countyans would like to find out an answer to this. What percent are going to be Section 8 housing? We would like to ask for the vote to be rescinded until there's enough infrastructure completed in order to handle the traffic on roadways, schools adequately equipped for students, and for appropriate emergency services to be conducted on the roadways. I'm confident that I have the support of, and I'm speaking for the residents of Deerfield, Harvey Crossing, Bainbridge, Kemper Creek, Glenwild, Sweetbriar, Magnolia Crossing, Hampton Hills, and multiple other residents on the Hampton Road and Old Canton Road corridor, as our petition of over 3,000 signatures indicates. I know that I would never hire D.R. Horton or any of its subcontractors to even build a doghouse for my dog Jackie, who I love dearly. Please, please take the time to reconsider Woodgate. Thank you. And I'd like to have these are the lawsuits, entered into the record as well.
Do I have a motion to enter those into the minutes?
Motion.
Talking about the lawsuits. Got a motion by Supervisor Baxter, second Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And just to clear up one thing that you said, I do not even know D.R. Horton, with the exception of what I hear. So when you say that I said there's a good builder, I do not know them. Now, the developers, I know a little about them, but not the builder of D.R. Horton. So just kind of want to clear that fact up.
So, Mike, what would be the process in rescinding this preliminary plat?
You have the authority to do it, but also that it's been done already. So you need to understand the repercussions if you did it within 10 days. The developers relied upon what the board already did in the process. So you have to, if it goes to circuit court within 10 days, as they would very likely do, the judge would have to determine if you made an arbitrary decision. So if you rescinded it, you'd have to understand that it had to be done in a way that wasn't arbitrary.
So you mean...
Or capricious. Arbitrary or capricious is the standard. So the judge would, so if you have authority to do it, number one. Number two, you have to understand the consequences if you did it. The developers would likely, I don't know if they would, but they relied upon this for months and months. So they would very likely take advantage of their legal right to sue the board within 10 days in the circuit court of Madison County. And then it would come before the judge, and he would look at the record, what they did, what you did, and why you changed it, and determine if what you did was arbitrary and capricious. So that's it.
So if it was rescinded on the basis of safety, traffic concerns, and concerns of the school district overcrowding, would that be something that would you consider to be arbitrary and capricious?
It'd be a factual matter related to safety, related to standards. To me, that doesn't seem arbitrary, but it can be related to politics.
But isn't it also true that they misrepresented themselves when they came to the county? They gave us well, first of all, they sent someone else to propose this development so that we wouldn't know that it was them to begin with. They hid a lot of stuff from us.
Well, you ask me things I don't know, so I wasn't here. I'm not aware of that. So
Well,
the record would be, everything would be into the record.
I was in a meeting with Tim and them, and Tim basically told them that they had misrepresented what
All right.
they said.
Mike,
So-
this wouldn't, staying on the topic of rescinding the vote, wouldn't be against D.R. Horton. It'd be against the developers.
Yeah,
That's,
the preliminary plat was presented by the developer, so it would be
Yeah.
to rescind the vote to approve the preliminary plat by the developer. Yes.
And this land, help me recall, this property, was its own property to start with, as far as residential? So it was, so there's no rezoning, or was there rezoning involved in this? Okay.
So what company, it's my understanding this LLC has changed name since the preliminary plat was approved. What LLC are we dealing with now?
Right.
There were a couple of names tossed around. One was Mississippi Home Builders LLC, and then there was an original LLC.
Mike, is this an executive item?
Sorry?
Is this an item need to be discussed in executive? Because I think I heard you pretty clear at the very beginning of this.
Well, I'm responding to Mr. Baxter's question.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
and I
it would be,
appreciate that.
it would be threatened or likely litigation. It
Yeah,
would
and
be,
that's kind of what I heard you say at the beginning.
yes.
I don't have a problem with rescinding the preliminary plat, but or at least making a motion. But I would like to know the current name of the LLC that's doing business out there to put in the motion.
We would need
I
to do
don't
a
know.
little more research, which we can do probably relatively quickly, but there have been two LLCs that have been kind of brandied about during this. There was Mississippi Homes, and then there was a second one whose name escapes me. But I think if we go look at the preliminary plat, we can probably figure it out. Yeah?
I would like to hear more. I'm sorry, Ms. Banks.
I was gonna ask a question. Okay, we talking about a preliminary plat. Before they can start building homes or whatever, what's the next step? I mean, they can't start building homes on a preliminary plat.
Well, preliminary, it comes construction after preliminary. And then after the construction, actually a final plat, and that's when they would be able to build homes.
Okay.
I know that, of course, I made the statement at the last board meeting that I am expecting the developers, not the builders, but the developers to be in front of this board with an update on their HOA covenants with no rental, no lease to own, and the sizes of homes that they're proposing to be built in phase one, at least phase one. And I've yet to see that happen, so I'm not sure where we are there.
Have you reached out to them? I'll reach out to the developer and update you on that.
Well, what motion could I make now to rescind the plat without knowing the name of the LLC? I mean, this whole thing has just been shadowy.
Ridiculous.
Hold on, ma'am. We need to get it from, from the,
Will you bring me the name?
do what now, Mike? Guys, while y'all are trying to figure out the,
You can tell we're caucusing now. So what's the question, Mr. Baxter?
What's the current name of?
These names.
What's the current name of that?
I don't know what it is, so, I don't know what it is.
Why don't we?
Engineer or the zoning administrator.
Scott?
The only one I remember is what Greg mentioned. I think it was Mississippi Homes LLC.
Yes. And then there was a second one tossed around, but Supervisor Baxter, I don't know that the one is necessary to make a motion to rescind the preliminary plat. I believe you can do it just based on the name of the subdivision.
What does my motion need to be to rescind the preliminary plat?
Mike, if you will, we would like for you to answer that question, since you're the attorney.
Oh, brother.
If you need a little time to think about it during this meeting.
It would be
that's
good,
fine.
but we need to be as specific as possible, of course. It's going to be the minutes. You're rescinding a plat, and you're not aware of the name of the development.
Mike, why don't y'all,
Tim says we never approved the plat.
All right. Our engineer tells me that when they approved the plat in the beginning, there was no name of the developer. They just approved the plat. So if you want to do this, you could make a motion to rescind the approval of the preliminary approval of the plat.
Is there, what's the how do I identify this plat from other LLC plats inside the,
In our minutes from March 6th of 2023, at the request and recommendation of zoning administrator Scott Weeks, supervisors offered and seconded a motion to approve.
Who made the motion and seconded?
Well, Mr. Griffin did offer and Ms. Jones did second a motion to approve the preliminary plat of Woodgate subdivision at the southeast corner of Yandell Road and North Old Canton Road. I have no reason to believe that anything beyond a motion to rescind a preliminary plat for Woodgate subdivision at the southeast corner of Yandell Road and North Old Canton Road, which is how it was approved in our minutes, that ought to suffice. Unless Mike tells me differently, but if that's how it was approved in the minutes, then that's how it's officially known in this county. So that would be sufficient.
all right, well, that'll be my motion.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Lott, what's the motion?
He gave you the identifying markings, just.
I got rescind the preliminary plat approval for the Woodgate subdivision at the southeast corner of North Old Canton Road. Is that all we have?
Yandell Road and North Old Canton Road.
Do we need to
if
put?
you're worried about specificity, you can specify somewhere in the motion that it was originally approved on March 6th of 2023.
Do we
At that
need to
point,
put?
there's no doubt as to which subdivision is being referred to.
We need reasoning while we're rescinding? Traffic, schools?
It would, well, I'll defer to the attorney there, because
Right,
that's going to be. a
let's hear
legal
from
issue.
Mike.
Everything is in the minutes. The board speaks through its minutes. So if you're going to rescind this, it needs to be a particular reason why, because this will all very likely be before the circuit judge. Very likely.
Well, Ronnie, you got that?
You have a motion. You got the
I
motion?
don't have a
right?
reason. What's the reason?
Traffic concerns and the school system overpopulation.
Traffic concerns,
So
what
traffic,
other?
traffic safety.
traffic safety,
Traffic.
and the school, traffic and school safety, or what are you saying?
He said school system overpopulation.
School system overpopulation,
Overcrowding.
overcrowding.
You have that motion, Ronnie?
I'm working on it, all right?
Okay.
You have it?
To rescind the motion by Mr. Baxter, which has not been seconded that I'm aware of, to rescind the preliminary plat approval for the Woodgate subdivision at the southeast corner of Yandell and North Old Canton Road, originally approved on March 6, 2015. Is that correct? 2023. Because of traffic, safety, and school system overload concerns.
Overcrowding.
Overcrowding. Overcrowding, period, so that wouldn't be concerned. Okay. Somebody say that again?
Yeah, you read it. Say it one more time.
Rescind preliminary plat approval for the Woodgate subdivision at the southeast corner of Yandell Road and North Old Canton Road, originally approved on March 6, 2023, because of traffic, safety, and school system overcrowding.
Okay. Is that it?
Before you take this vote, my job as your lawyer is to look around the corner. And I like to speak on this before you take the vote. Again, you can do this. You have the authority to do it. Number two, we have two sides to this, the proponents and the opponents. We've heard from the proponents, as the young lady said earlier, to rescind the preliminary plat. You've not heard from the opponents. So you're taking a vote, consequential vote, because you have developers. I'm not speaking in their favor. I'm speaking as your lawyer. All right, you're making a record that's going to be before the circuit judge of Madison County. He's going to look at this and say, on this October 2nd, the proponents made a suggestion there was nothing related to the opposition. And you make a vote based on, you're hearing from one side. You have the other side. The preliminary plat was approved. They've been relying upon the prior vote, doing what they had to do, spending money, negotiating contracts in good spirit based on what the vote was. And now you're taking a vote. I don't know what the result will be. All I'm saying is that as your lawyer, you're taking a vote based on hearing from one side in a meeting. So I'm not saying to defer this, you can vote. But when it goes before a circuit judge, it's very likely will be done in 10 days. The judge is going to look at the record, and the only consideration is, was this arbitrary and capricious? Or was this with foundation and reasonable? That's the question. So you have to ask yourself before you make the vote.
Hey, we do have a motion, do have a second. And for a little further discussion, and Mike, I hear you very clearly, because this is not the first time that we've been in situations that you said what you just said. What was the vote on this? What was the vote to approve the subdivision?
Let's see here.
And Scott, while he's looking up the vote, or Tim, or both, can y'all talk a little bit on what work has been done out there at this point?
Before they do, I can go ahead and tell you the vote. It was 5 ayes and 0 nays.
Okay. Tim, Scott, do y'all know what may have been done out there at this point?
My knowledge, the only thing that's been done on site is they've cleared the timber off the site. There have been no permits or anything issued, which you do not have to get a permit to clear timber, so that's the only thing that's been done.
Okay. But they have cleared timber off of it?
Correct.
And that's it, as far as you know?
As far as I know.
Okay, and is that on how many acres do you know offhand? And I know I'm catching you cold here, but.
You are.
Yeah.
If you pull that preliminary plat up, I can tell them.
Oh, I've got it up in the minutes.
And the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm following the guidance of our attorney, because there's also another side to this story that we haven't heard at this point. And to be fair, you need to hear both sides of the story, both sides. And that's really where I am today, is to hear both sides of the story. I'm not scared to go down this road as far as rescinding, but we all need to know what the consequences may be if we go down this road. You don't need to go down this road blindly. Go down this road with everybody knowing what the consequences may be, especially this board. And so that's the reason I'm asking the questions.
Tim, you and I met with these people and they lied to us, is my understanding. Is that what you remember too?
Well, the point that I made that day that we had the meeting was the timing of them presenting the traffic study. That's the point that I made in the meeting of the developers are the developers and the builders are the builders. But the point I made was when they said they received the traffic impact study was not what I was told by other people.
Right.
And I will say that we did not know that D.R. Horton was involved at all. I don't think anyone on this board knew that. But again, we work and operate with the developers, not the builders.
Correct. And there's no requirement to tell the board who the builders are going to be at the time of the preliminary plat. So.
Well, just to add to this, the motion basically is made by a reason called traffic and overcrowding the schools. One where we probably gonna get shot down in circuit court is because the board already working and planning to help relieve some of the traffic congestion on Yandell Road, already in place. the schools, we don't govern the schools. There's a school board that governs the schools. If it overcrowding the schools, Madison County School Board gonna make plans to build whatever they need for our children. And second and third, I'll be voting against this rescinding of this. Reason why, some of the reasons why, that the developer got to bring us covenants back here. And what I'm committed to the peoples out there, that there will not be any rentals, no government region Section 8 homes. The home will be ranges from 1,500 square feet to 2,000 square feet. That is what's working in that area now. Bainbridge only have 14 minimum square feet. Harvey Crossing, I think it's 15. Other subdivisions, 1,600 square feet. So what going out there will be right in the same category that all the other subdivisions have been built around there. The builders, y'all mentioned D.R. Horton. I got confidence in our building inspectors gonna require them to build a quality home. I have spoken with the building inspectors, and I think some of our other board members have spoke with the building inspector. That builder, D.R. Horton, is building in Madison County right now. The report that I get from our building inspectors, that they are building a good quality home. So there's no reason to vote against this developer when we gonna lose when we go to circuit court. And then all the deals and stuff might be off the table. They might decide to build whatever out there then, because they might decide to build things that we'd have not had any input in. But right now, the input is a minimum square footage of 15 foot, all the way up to square foot, all the way up to 2,000 square foot. No government section home, no rent to own. So I think that we done put together the best deal that we can put together. The board have, but I had asked you all to meet with the developer, and y'all chose not to. So you made me have to try to input the best deal, because voting to rescind it only gonna make us, the county, have to pay money to these developers because they didn't invest it in this property. They invested to buy it. We probably had to pay the money to them what they bought this property for. Probably had to pay for this timber. So I would not be supporting the motion.
Okay. Other statements?
You'd asked the question about how many acres. It was 162 acres.
That they cleared the land on or in the process?
That's the preliminary plat. Total acreage is 162.12.
Okay. And before we vote, you know, I'm going to say this is where I am and this is where I stand and why, is basically because I think we need the developers in front of us. Our attorney said it very well There's two sides to every story, and it's our responsibility as a board to hear both sides and then make the best decision for Madison County. That's where I am today. And so whether this vote passes, if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, I would expect the developers to be in front of this board at the next board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
At the next board meeting to answer some of these questions. Because I'm not pleased with D.R. Horton. The developers, I am. I haven't, no big issues with the developers, except I wish they'd have been up front with us personally, but they were not. So today I'll be voting against this vote or this motion, but I would expect the developers to be in front of us at the next board meeting. And if they're not, then I think this motion will probably come back up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair for them to come and tell their side of the story, for this board to make a good, solid decision. And that's where I am today.
And that then, next meeting is the time for you all to be here, so you can hear exactly what coming out of that developer mouth. Some of the things that he committed to me on, and so that would be the time for y'all to be here.
Yeah, and so I would think, Scott, ever how this vote goes, I think, you're the contact person, to the developers. And also, my understanding is that D.R. Horton has a representative that lives here in Madison County as well. So that person needs to be here as well. And then everybody can hear the same thing all at one time. And then that way we will have the information that we need to make a solid decision. So we have a motion on the table. All in favor? Do we have a second?
Sheila did
it. Sheila seconded the motion. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? No.
No.
And again, that's the reason I voted no today, is I'm expecting the other side to be at the board meeting, at the next board meeting, and hopefully you can be here as well to listen and move, and then we all can be on the same page.
But you
Okay?
absolutely voted for it.
Ma'am?
It was a unanimous vote for the project without any consideration to anybody in the Yandell-Old Canton corridor.
right.
You actually sound hypocritical right now.
Yeah, hold tight.
The schools are very overwhelmed, I can vouch.
Ma'am?
I said the schools are very overwhelmed.
Yeah, we understand that, but talking about the, yes, ma'am, come on up. And state your name in 2 minutes, please.
Hi, I'm Donna Russell, and I live at 118 Camden Shore. And that is my issue. I don't know where I'm coming up to. But anyway, sometimes common sense has to come forth. And I was called 25 years ago a commoner because I asked the question to this board, why was there only one entrance, one exit to Madison Central when it was built? Afterwards, the Pearl situation, I brought it to the board's attention, and they said, oh, we didn't even know it. I said, has emergency coming in when you're trying to get everybody out?
Right.
The back was built. Same thing for this. I just want to know, since nobody can tell us who the developers are, in planning and zoning, I have requested.
But we know who the developers are.
Well, everybody just said.
Well, that's everybody, but.
Well, out here, we didn't know.
Well.
But that's my issue. And my question is for planning and zoning, when you're trying to find a certain document that has been rezoned, one time zoned, then rezoned, where is that information put? Because I'm presently looking for that, and we can't find it. And the same thing, y'all were never notified for your situation or who the developers are. And when we...
Ma'am, the developer's name's been out there.
Oh, okay, but...
Done.
Well, I'm only worried about a development. So when you do zone something and rezone it, is it put in the planning and zoning board, or is it put where? So that you, the public can come look at this document.
Well, it goes in front of the Planning and Zoning Board, and so they have the
So
records.
a document I can come find there then, very easily.
The board speaks through its minutes, so all the documents are going to be in the board minutes, the Board of Supervisors, and that's in the Chancery Clerk's office.
Perfect.
They are also available online, and
No,
you can search them. Fair enough, thought I'd offer, save you a trip.
I'm with him. I'm not into IT and computer. I can spell IT, though. And the other question was, as far as the safety, I know coming off of Stribling to 463, just the 6 schools, public schools, not Christian or private, when you get to 463, 3,600 are going to the right. Twice the amount is going to the left there on that, and it is a 2-lane road. So I'm sure your situation is just as unsafe. I do have documentation on my phone because I recorded the morning nightmare coming out of Stribling to 463 or Stribling to Catlett, and it is very dangerous. Last week, there was a wreck, and it was so backed up on both sides that police could not even come down the road. So it is very unsafe. And that's why I'm looking for these documents to see how do these things get zoned, knowing that is very unsafe for these children going to school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, I think I saw another hand to go up that would like to speak. Yes, ma'am. Come up and state your name in 2 minutes, please.
Okay, less than 2 minutes. I'm Stephanie Williams at 215 Parkinson Road in Flora. And I know we all, we've already talked and we are all on the same page, but we didn't really discuss anything about the possibility of a gas station that has already been sold. And I have 2 children. One is driving and it is dangerous, and I want the DOT to examine that area. But also, I feel like we don't really need another gas station because we have so many options close by. And we actually lived in Deerfield for 10 years, and we bought in the country to be in the country. And most people that are moving out there want to be in the country, and the country is not necessarily a gas station. So that's it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any others that hasn't spoke? Yes, ma'am. State your name and address in 2 minutes, please.
My name is Celia Manley. I live at Stokes Road in Flora, and we've all talked about the overlay, and I appreciate all the comments, and I think we're all on the same page. My question has to do with planning and zoning and the 2019 comprehensive plan that shows the outer circle or outer triangle still zone C2, and I don't know where we are with knowing if that's correct or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure Scott would be able to help you with that question.
The outer triangle at Stokes and Livingston and 22.
And Scott, that may be something that you need to look at a little bit later on.
I can't answer that at the
Yeah,
time.
if you will, get with Scott after the meeting, or give him a call, and he'll be able to help you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That little guy right there wants to speak.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Come on up then. State your name and address in 2 minutes, please.
You got it. I brought something to read, and I tried to test it out, and it's 10 minutes, so we're not going to do it.
No. Cut that thing down to 2 minutes.
My name is Lee West. I live at 850 North Deerfield Drive in Canton. I'd like to give this to each one of you. Northside Sun published a article in the paper about...
I read that one.
Yeah.
I did read that one, yeah.
I responded to that with some help from my neighbor. You can hear you can read that and understand after I speak that I had to have help.
Hey, Mr. West.
I'm not going to try to read it. I'm going to try to hit the
Please do. High points.
High spots in less than 2 minutes. And I'd like to address Mr. Griffith. I would love for you to come to my house one morning, anytime between 6:30 and 8:30, 9 o'clock, and let's leave Deerfield and see if we can break my record of 30 minutes to go 3 miles. Or we could do it in the afternoon from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I know it's not just you, Mr. Griffith. Don't mean you to take it that way. I was sitting in traffic about 2 weeks ago on the way home one afternoon. An ambulance was trying to get out from there. I wouldn't want it on my head that somebody died because you couldn't get the ambulance out and get to the hospital. That's how, and the sheriff understands that. You're talking about a traffic study, you can do your own study. Go out there and look at it. Try to see if you can get through there. As far as the local developers, I have nothing in the world against them. The people they chose to build the houses, I do. It's just, I've read too many lawsuits against them. And from what I understand, the way they do, we're moving south and West Jackson to Madison County, and I don't think any of us want that.
Right.
So, but anyway, I'd appreciate it if y'all could put this in the minutes and read that at your own leisure. And I'm not hard to get in touch with. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer what I could. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. West. Do I have a motion to enter these into the minutes? Motion, Mr. Griffith. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Ronnie, you have a copy of this?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and give yours then. That'd be fine. Unless you need a copy.
No, I got plenty.
Okay. Are there anyone else that would like to speak on any topic before we move forward to the next? All right, if not, we're going to move to Tim Bryant. But just to make clear, at the next board meeting, we expect the developers to Woodgate to be here, along with hopefully a D.R. Horton representatives. That's what we're hoping for, and that's what we're asking for. Tim?
Okay. Just to clarify a question or a concern that was brought up a minute ago, MDOT does have a project at the intersection of Striblin Road and 463 that they're working on. They're going to signalize that intersection, so that will help alleviate some of the congestion there. At least it'll help somewhat.
Right.
So just to throw that out there. First item I have is the final plat for Madisonville Phase 1. Development's 86 lots on 29.84 acres. We do have the final, or the letter of credit for the final wearing surface.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Baxter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
All right. Next item I have is the final plat for Magnolia Point Part 2. It's 4.4 acres with 11 lots. We do have the final, or the letter of credit for the final wearing surface on it as well.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Supervisor Baxter. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Jones. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed.
Next time I have the engineering department recommends the board accept the final inspection paperwork and the joint letter of acceptance for the final for the Mount Pilgrim Road Bridge project.
Motion.
Got a motion, Supervisor Griffin. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed.
The final item I have is the engineering department recommends that the board accept the full and final settlement for the Highway 22 at King Ranch Road intersection improvements project in the amount of $58,010.02, and authorize board president to sign the attached letter from MDOT.
Move.
Got a motion by Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Jones. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
All right. Thank you.
Tim, I've been contacted by a few people who have frequented the food stamp office here in Canton, and they have an issue in the parking lot, needs to be restriped.
Okay.
I'd like to help those citizens out that need help, and the parking lot needs restriping. I'd like to make a motion that we ask Tim to go up and take a look at it, get a price on it, and see what we can do to get it striped. And I'll put that in form of a motion.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks, second Supervisor Griffin, and which parking lot is this now?
That's at the food stamp office on, up on, what's that street?
MLK.
MLK.
And that's the county's property?
It's county's property.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I've got a motion, have a second. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Secondly, Tim, 22 Highway and the intersection with Livingston Vernon. Need you to get in touch with MDOT, see what we can do to coordinate some type of traffic safety study on that intersection. You probably need to get our traffic expert there, Mr. Jonathan Kaiser, to help us out. That is an issue that we're having more wrecks there than you need to have, and something has to be fixed to solve some of those issues, no matter what gets put in place there.
Okay.
Livingston Vernon, that road just wides off to the right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Wait, Jonathan says he's looked at it.
Jonathan?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Kaiser with Kaiser Traffic, 35 Greystone Drive. In the last study that I did for the county's transportation plan, which was submitted in 2021, I believe, end of 21, maybe early 22, I did look at that intersection. There were recommendations made. We have traffic counts there. We did not do a crash history that I recall at that intersection, but there were recommendations made and concerns about the geometry of the approaches, and there was a recommendation made in how to improve that intersection.
Okay.
So you're ahead of the game on this one in that you've already got some background information on it and some recommendations for improving those intersections in that area.
Does any of those recommendations involve MDOT having to do some things too?
It involves straightening out the road. I mean, you've got two reverse curves in a state highway, and when it looks like Livingston Vernon was already there, and so it looks like the road alignment was changed potentially for whatever reason, and that a more direct connection would solve the problem when you have these high-angle intersections. But high-angle intersections are a problem and a safety concern. Yes, sir.
Right.
Okay. Have we met with MDOT? Are we planning on meeting with MDOT? Can we meet with MDOT?
Yes, we will.
Well,
I'll get with their safety engineer.
Yeah, let's see what we can do to get this as a project to start working on.
All right, we'll meet with them and see where it heads.
Okay.
All
right. Thank you very
Tim.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. All right, Scott?
Good morning.
Morning.
The first item I have is the planning and zoning draft minutes, August 10th, 2023.
Do I have a motion to acknowledge?
Motion.
Got a motion for Supervisor Baxter, second for Supervisor Jones to acknowledge the planning and zoning draft minutes. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Next item I have is Rashad Smith. This was a conditional use for an event venue, typically for like weddings and whatnot. Southwest corner of Highway 16 and Sharon Road. Property is zoned R2, but this is a conditional use. It was approved by the Planning Commission 8/10 of 2023, and he will still have to come with a solid site plan for that site.
Okay.
At the planning meeting, did you have anybody there opposing?
I did not. I had a couple of people reach out to me and they just asked what it was going to be, and when I told them that, they were very receptive to it. It's going to be something similar to Bridlewood across from Caroline.
Okay, and he still got to come with that site plan, you think?
Yes.
Right? All right. I'm hoping all them neighbors not sleep down there.
Well, this individual actually lives on this property,
Yeah,
so.
I know exactly where he's staying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know his neighbor right down the road from the left, too.
Yes, sir.
No, from what I hear, there shouldn't be no bar.
No.
You ought to know that a bar ain't gonna survive out there. Motion to approve.
Got a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Baxter. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Thank you.
Mike?
Scott, quickly, on that issue that Mr. Matthew Scott brought in, you said that in that particular type of zoning, residential zoning, it does not require residents. What can we do to make sure that that doesn't happen, that we can require residents? I don't think an auxiliary building ought to be built if the residence isn't there first. It's no such, it's not auxiliary. It's the main building.
I understand your concerns. We would just have to do an amendment to the text, the same way the Mansdale, Livingston, Sipars would just be an amendment to the text of the language of that residential district.
We'll get it ready so we can
Yes, sir.
get it approved.
I will talk to Mr. Clark and we'll get that rewritten.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir.
Mike?
Good morning. So item 42 are technical changes to the employee handbook to comply with federal law, state law, and federal law updates. So I'm representing the HR department today. So there are 5 changes, but section 4, section 5 are really the ones that comply with federal law. Bereavement leave, FMLA leave, sick leave, health benefits. And then section 3 relates to just clarifying that wage assignments and payroll deductions, we're not going to allow third-party deductions or wage assignments from the payroll. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And section 2 relates to the dress code. The board may or may not be purchasing T-shirts or jackets with the logo of Madison County. And this just says that the employees may be allowed or may be required. Emphasis on allowed to wear these items that will be issued by the county. So I recommend that you adopt all 5 of these changes in the employee handbook.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, second, Supervisor Baxter. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
Thank you. And the next item is simply to authorize the board president to sign a legal representation letter from Alan Purdy in the Catlett Road eminent domain lawsuit. The board has already voted to initiate this eminent domain. The board voted that you would hire Alan Purdy. So this is simply an engagement letter at $145 an hour for his legal representation.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. I'll second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. All right, Mr. Greg Hickenbottom.
All right, thank you. And I may be filling in for Nassan as well while
Okay.
she's upstairs working on end-of-the-year rollover stuff, which has
Okay.
proven to be not as smooth as we would have liked. So the one that I don't have listed there is a request for this board to authorize the board president and county administrator to sign the engagement letter for the fiscal year 2022 audit report. The auditors are actually upstairs right now.
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed.
Great. And I don't see Miss White, so if y'all will humor me, I'm going to pretend to be her. You'll notice some distinct changes. Yeah, probably should have phrased that differently.
Just take the item up.
Yes, let's go with that. The claims docket, these are just your monthly bills. We had a claims docket Friday to get in everything we could get in, but rent and debt and things that we have to pay monthly.
Make a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Yeah, Greg.
Yes, sir.
I see that was a email sent to you about the broadband conference in Jackson. I think this Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Have you made an appointment to go? They saying we can send up to 2 representatives. I would like to be one.
Okay, I'm going to try to go. I've got to figure out when the Canton Historical Commission meets next. I think I've got an overlap there. And they would meet at 10:30, but I would be at the broadband conference thereafter.
Okay.
And it's a 2-day event in downtown Jackson put on by the Mississippi Broadband Association. So there wouldn't be any cost or anything. The conference is free, and I generally don't stick y'all for the mileage if I'm just driving to Jackson.
All right, Mike, you think there's something you might want to go?
When is it?
Thursday and
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday. Thursday has the Lieutenant
This
Governor.
Thursday and Friday?
I believe so, yes, sir.
I've been watching.
All right. Well, seems like it's us.
Sounds like a plan then. Yes, sir.
I'm pretty sure Wagner will have someone there.
I know they're aware of the conference. Let's just.
And probably Comcast as well. You would think.
They are a
Comcast-
sponsor
Yeah.
of said conference, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So they would definitely have someone
Yes,
there
sir.
then. Okay. Mr. Lott? Sheriff?
Nothing, Mr. President.
Old business? Only thing bring up on the old business or new business is just that the monies that we have left over overlay in North Livingston Road, whatever money that is, I would like for it to start on Coker Road. So I would like to make a motion to put Coker Road on the road plan to start with. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. And then secondly, whatever monies that was left over on North Livingston, just move it over to Coker Road and start on Coker Road as well. So that's a motion as well. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Any new business or any other old business, new business? Pat? Come up, please state your name and address, please.
Oh, okay. I'm Pat Truesdale.
There you go.
And I live at 306 West Porter Ridgeland. I have just something that I'm hoping is just kind of like an administrative change. Back on your consent items, number 15, I would like that just to state that you approve the attendance of 5 commissioners, because one of those listed there will not be running for reelection. And so we're not positive who is going to be in the spots for 2 and for 4. So if we could just state it as 5 commissioners to attend our annual conference, if that would be possible.
Okay, do I have a motion to,
Second.
and the motion is to do what?
List as just 5, not names
No
particularly,
names. No
just the
names.
5 election commissioners
Okay.
to be authorized to attend the meeting.
Sounds good. We have a motion and have a second discussion.
And the circuit clerk.
Oh, sorry, I meant.
Third clerk.
Yeah, gotta make sure we throw her in there.
Right.
Okay, and the
Whoever
circuit
her
clerk.
may be.
If you don't mind, thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn to the 16th at 9 a.m.?
Motion.
Got a motion,
Second.
Supervisor Baxter, second by Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Gina, do we have some other things to sign?
It's Scott. Scott.
Okay.
Sheriff, you in the house yet? Oh, man, I thought